We're nearly halfway through 2024, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is still the reigning champion as the worst game release of the year. And now we're finding out that, yes, this was a massive financial failure, as Warner Brothers Discovery is admitting to taking a $200 million loss on KTJL. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, it is always a great day when we are proven right, because we had already expected this to be a massive financial failure, and Warner Brothers Discovery had previously said that it failed to meet their expectations, but now we have an actual number to put to the failure, and it is hilarious. This is a Bounding Into Comics article. It says, providing financial confirmation to the live service title's reputation as one of the worst overall disasters in the history of video games. Discovery has admitted that the absolute failure of KTJL has ultimately resulted in a $200 million hit to their bottom line. The concession to the failure was offered by David Zaslav during the company's Q1 2024 earnings call. The first to speak on the topic was Zaslav, who in his opening remarks briefly noted to investors that unfortunately the studio's Q1 financials were overshadowed by the tough comp at games following the great performance of Hogwarts Legacy last year and the disappointing release of Suicide Squad in Q1 in our gaming group. Now, of course, they could have simply made a new Arkhamverse game that people actually wanted and followed a story that people would actually care about, but instead they decided to go for this, and it turned out to be a nightmare for them. This is what happens when you put hundreds of $millions into a product that consumers didn't ask for. We are willing to cough up a lot of money for really good looking games and products in general, but this is not one that anyone asked for, and Hogwarts Legacy was amazing. It was one of the best game releases of 2023, and they definitely were expecting this game to maybe not touch those numbers, but at least do decent, which it didn't. Later, expanding on this information while breaking down the studio's quarterly financials, we would get further information that the $400 million plus year-over-year decline in Q1 reported in the company's earnings release was primarily due to the very tough comp we faced in games against the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year, in conjunction with, of course, Suicide Squad's release this past quarter, which we impaired, leading to a $200 million impact to EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, during the first quarter. It is hilarious to see this because, of course, we were saying this had to have been a major financial failure, and they had previously admitted that, yes, it was failing to live up to their expectations, but we knew that this was going to be a pretty big loss for them, and hearing that they took a $200 million loss on this means they spent a lot more money than we initially thought. The rumor was that the game had a $120 million budget, and we didn't know anything about marketing, but clearly the budget had to have been like 160 to 180 million, and then maybe 30 million for marketing. We don't actually have the budget numbers, but judging by a $200 million loss, that means they had to have spent significantly more than $200 million. And that means that they were really hoping that this was probably going to make like $400 million, probably $500,000, more like it, which is what happens when you don't listen to your customers, and nobody is playing this game anymore. As you can see over on SteamDB, its all-time peak was a measly 13,459 players, which of course is not like the worst in terms of video games, but it's definitely not the best and doesn't even come close to some of the other Arkhamverse games. But the players in game right now are 138, and the 24-hour peak is 156. And of course, there has not been any new content released recently, so it's expected that the player numbers were going to drop, but they have never been amazing. As you can see, the only only time since release that it went up was when the Joker DLC came out. It went to 3,000 players, which is not good. And then within only 4 days, it dropped to under 1,000. So really nobody enjoyed this game, and not a lot of people even returned to play the Joker launch. Nobody wanted this, and nobody even liked it. I mean, looking at the Metacritic scores, even the critics did not enjoy it, which I don't care about what the critics say. I'm just using it as another example, but users gave it a 3.5, a very unfavorable user score. This is what happens when you put out a piece of trash product, when you basically give fans of an existing franchise and of course an existing series like the Arkhamverse the middle finger. They could have created 100 different video games based on the Arkhamverse, and they probably would have all done great. Like, imagine a Catwoman game, imagine a Harley Quinn game where she is actually Harley and not this like new modern take on Harley that is, you know, going around and saying how much she hates Joker and how she's a strong, independent woman now with her merry band of cringe-worthy misfits. And of course, a major reason why this failed was Sweet Baby Inc. Nobody wants to touch games that are Sweet Baby Inc. affiliated now, and they should have never worked with SBI, because this is what happens. Your products will fail time and time again. We have seen so many games release that Sweet Baby has been affiliated with that have failed, that should have been successes, like Suicide Squad. They were clearly hoping it was going to do really good. We saw Alan Wake 2. It has still failed to make money, and it has sold millions of copies, but Sweet Baby Inc. was affiliated, and well, it's probably never going to make the money that they anticipated, given it's been out for over half a year at this point. Then we had the recent Legends of Kenzara Zhao release. We haven't heard anything about that. It has less than 100 players on Steam, and it's hilarious to see happen. It really, truly is, because I just want companies to get with the program and start listening to us in what we want out of our entertainment. And is that going to happen? Who knows? It magically could one day. At this point, though, Warner Brothers Discovery has taken such a massive hit because of Kill the Justice League. It wouldn't surprise me if they decided to cancel the DLC and not put in the extra time, because they've already put out the Joker DLC, but initially we heard they had 5 or 6 DLCs planned. I think they'll probably put out 3 and call it at that. Only time will tell. But Warner has admitted to taking a $200 million loss on Kill the Justice League, which is freaking hilarious. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.